So now I'm hoping that this is the new Sarah Palin, because I don't know if anybody has really truly talked about how Sarah Palin eviscerated David Letterman. Eviscerated him. She took a scalpel and cut his heart out. It was still beating in her hand when he was like, and another thing about how stupid and slutty you are. He didn't even see it coming. And the reason why I say she eviscerated it, it's one thing to say, hey, don't make fun of my daughter, which she's completely in the right to do. I mean, where was when the press started asking Barack Obama and taking pictures, and he was like, hey, back off. It's my private time with my kids. Nobody invades that. Do you know they're closing down streets now every time his daughters go back in the backyard and play? You know that? They close the street. Do I have a problem with that? No. None at all. Leave the children alone. I don't want those kids growing up to be in a zoo where people are watching them or some freak is out there with a camera. And when I say freak, I mean paparazzi or anything. Don't leave kids out of it. But that's not what she did. The one thing that can be said about David Letterman that I believe all of us know to be true is, and we don't know this, you never know, but I think it's a pretty good guess. He's not a pervert. He's not preying on your children. And also, the comedy writing scenario over there is everybody just passes notes. Nobody's in a room working together. There's no talking there. It's a nasty situation. You get the cards to him. He reads them in rehearsal, and that's it. So it's not like he was sitting around going, hey, you know what'll be funny is a 14... He most likely, it was written, he saw it in the monologue prompter, and it was like, okay, fine. Whether he knew it was the 14-year-old daughter or not. And this, so you know, this point is really meaningless because, so it was the daughter that was 4 years older? Sure, she's legal, but still it's a 14-year-old daughter. Either way, it doesn't excuse it. But what she did is she came out, and instead of saying, leave my daughters alone, she immediately went for something that is a scalpel, which is, you're a dirty old man. A 60-year-old saying sexual comments about a 14-year-old immediately galvanized against David Letterman. Immediately.
There's no doubt who won that battle.
She did. His beating heart. Yeah, well, you're just a slutty. Oh! And didn't even see it being taken out of his chest. And he was so slow, he didn't even see it coming out of his chest the next day. And that's where he really went wrong. I think if he would have said, Sarah Palin, we make fun of everybody. I certainly didn't know it was your 14-year-old daughter, and it was probably over the line even if it wasn't your 14-year-old daughter, and I apologize. I think America would have forgiven him.
Nope.
I don't want anybody telling people what they can and can't say. I don't want David Letterman fired for it. I don't want boycotts of David Letterman. I would, however, like a little bit of consistency from CBS. They fired Don Imus over a comment that he made about a basketball team that you don't know any of the pictures of the people. There's no real specifics of anybody. And that was the worst thing that anybody has ever said at any time, including kill them all and let God sort them out. It was the worst thing ever uttered ever. And David Letterman says this about a specific family with a picture. And CBS signs him to a new contract. Now, what Sarah Palin has done is she has demonstrated only to those who care to see, and nobody in the mainstream media will see it. She has demonstrated, oh, really? I could play that game too. She just took out a comedian. Now, unlike with with Al Sharpton, who pickets and then all of a sudden they find themselves out of a job. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with picketing and then the company fires them and everything else. That kind of pressure is wrong. You've let the people vote with the ratings, and they're going to do that. You mark my words. David Letterman has staked out a position here that unless he changes courses, he is going to be, well, it's CBS. He's going to be Katie Couric. They're going to be perfect bookends for the CBS lineup. Katie Couric, all the liberals love her. All the people in these people's circle are, oh, you got it, Dave. Oh, you took her out. Yeah, you stand strong, Dave. All the regular people, don't want you to treat her that way, even if they disagree with her. You don't treat somebody
especially her daughters.
Yeah. You don't treat her that way, and you also don't treat somebody's family that way. There's nobody who is outside of the elite circles or the party bosses, if you will, of either party that would stand by that if it was their party. You know what I mean? Nobody. But only now is it going to be solved the right way. And that is, people are going to know David Letterman, what kind of a guy he is, that he is just a political hack, that all of his jokes are just, they are biased, that he comes with a real anger streak in him and a bias, where a lot of people didn't know that about David Letterman. A lot of people watch him and they think he's funny, and they thought he was biased, but, whatever. Jay Leno is a happy-go-lucky guy. I think Conan O'Brien is the same way. Kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. You don't really know where they stand on the issues, nor should you. There are a late-night comedian. If you want to be a political comedian, well, then you can. And you'll do what I do or what Bill Maher does, and that is limit the size of your audience. You'll cut your audience size in about half or by 30%, whatever it is. You'll cut it because there is a good number of people, like on my program, we have liberals that listen to us. We have Democrats that listen to us, but that's not the base. They're kind of like the frosting on the cake, ratings-wise. Where Jay Leno or Conan O'Brien will have all of it. It's in the cake mix. There's Democrats, Republicans, Independents. Not with Katie Couric anymore. And soon not with David Letterman. And so he will limit the ability of CBS to make money, and he'll limit himself to make money. And if he's into that and CBS is into that, if they are into the kind of ratings that MSNBC has, you're welcome to it.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like all you have to do to avoid an incident like that, if you're a David Letterman, is to not have a blind, visceral hatred of Sarah Palin.
He lost the minute he came out with his bogus apology.
Yeah, so stupid. Stupid.
He lost the minute he came out with that bogus apology. Is when if he would have just come out and said, "Look, I do jokes and I make a lot of jokes, and some of them are stupid, and that one was stupid. In retrospect, it was over the line, and I apologize. And I'd love to have Sarah and Todd on some point, not a problem. But instead, he threw down the gauntlet. You're dealing with, it's like me on The View. I was right. What am I going to do? I'm in their house. What am I going to do? Yell at the women? Be a rah, scream and yell at them? Become angry? No.
Yeah, you took the alternate approach, which was wait for an investigative journalist to prove you 100% right.
Yeah,
but it took 2 weeks.
All right, and I still haven't won on that, but I've learned my lesson. You don't go on that show and expect a fair shake. No. Don't go on that and expect a fair shake at all. They're not going to give you one. That's fine. Okay. But I would have made it much, much worse had I tried to beat down the women. Because then the press, who is biased against me, would have said, oh, look at him. And now look at the angry conservative. I had to make mental note. Keep smiling, keep smiling, keep smiling. What does he do? He beats up on a mom. David, you're really that stupid? And Sarah, you are really that smart.